Hi there, welcome to the shop. I'm Cale. So today we're talking regret. And that's right, this Festool Domino joiner, as much as I enjoy using it, is on my list of regrets. Stick with me and you'll learn why. Stay with me till the end of the video and I'll share with you a list of questions that you can ask yourself before you buy a tool so you'll have an idea of whether or not the tool's going to end up on your regret list too. I wasn't prepared for some of these, so stick with me. Let's get into it. So why would a drill press end up on a regret list like mine? Let's go through the reasons. So for the most part, I'm a solo woodworker, and when it comes time to moving things around, it's really just me. So when it comes to moving something like a drill press, this thing is a monster. When I first bought it, I had a couple of friends help me get it out of the truck and get it set up and get it put where it needed to be, and that was a lot of work. And when it was done, that was cool. It's nice to have a drill press. And moving this thing is not only hard to accomplish, it's also very dangerous. This thing has no center of balance. It has no center of gravity. As soon as it comes loose, everything wants to fly around. You can't really take it apart to move lighter assemblies. In my case, I wanted it up on a table so I could use it. That meant having to have a crane to pick it up. I don't need tools that require that I have a crane to pick them up, especially when in today's day and age, there's 100 different ways that you can drill a straight hole with a drill and a drill guide. You don't even have to pay a lot of money for a drill guide to get a good one. I've got one or two around the shop, and honestly, I reach for them before I come over to the drill press anymore. So, drill press, on my list of regrets. How about yours? Drop a comment. Let me know if there's any tool in your shop that you regret buying and why you regret buying it. I'm sure the community would like to know. Let me start by saying that none of these tools that are on my regret list are bad tools. I don't regret any of them because they're bad tools. I regret them for 100 other reasons that we're going to get into later in this video. So next regret on my list is this combination drum and belt sander. Super cool, lots of uses. There was a time when I was building a specific kind of project that this thing was quite helpful at. I don't build those anymore, and I find that I almost never use this. This is on my regret list because I actually considered this purchase for a really long time before I actually made it. And then I made it anyway, and then it ended up on my regret list, which gave me reason to consider and think, like, how did that happen? So, as is the case with most woodworking tools, there's a lot of different ways to do any particular thing with a piece of wood. This particular sander, while handy, doesn't do anything that you can't do with some other tools that you may already have in your shop. In my case, when I was done building the candy boxes that I was building, I found that I didn't actually need to use this anymore, which is a good thing because this thing has a straight 5-inch dust port right into the dust collector, and still this thing just absolutely wrecks the shop with fine dust. The design of it is not ideally suited for dust collection, which I suppose you could say the same about just about any woodworking tool, because I've said this in past videos, if you're going to get into woodworking, dealing with dust is just a fact of life. But this guy makes dust on a different level entirely. The jointer, the humble jointer. This was actually one of the first woodworking tools that I got when I started building out my shop about 10 years ago. And I have enjoyed using it, but it's another one of those tools that just has more regrets than positives. This particular tool, it's an affordable tool. I got it from Home Depot. I put a Helix helical cutter head in it, which if you have one of these and you haven't done that upgrade, you really should consider it. The Helix cutter heads are pretty pricey, but man, do they make a difference in how this thing works. So why is it on my regret list? Bottom line is, I almost never use it to joint the face of boards flat. I almost always, well, check that. I only ever use this to joint the edge of a board flat, and I can do that with my table saw. I don't need this to do that. I'm going to make a video next week showing you how you can build a jig for your table saw such that you can use it just like a jointer to joint two boards, edges, dead flat, so you get good glue ups. So all in all, this has been a pretty good tool. It's not perfectly true. This fence, even though I can get this fence perpendicular to the bed, This fence actually has a bit of a curve to its face over here at the end, which does tend to affect fine joinery. So oftentimes I won't use this if I'm doing really fine detail work because it's just not precision ground enough to meet my needs. Now that being said, this jointer is probably 10 or 11, maybe 12 years old, and I would imagine this exact same jointer today probably has a better grind on these faces and is probably a lot truer than this one. So don't let that put you off if you're thinking about getting one of these for your shop. So one of the things I've touched on and will touch on continuously in my videos is that what's a regret for me might not be a regret for you. Just because something doesn't work in my shop doesn't mean it won't work in yours. The only value I hope you get out of this particular video is an inner dialogue with yourself with some questions that you could ask yourself to help you decide, is this a tool that has a place in your workshop with where you are in your woodworking journey today? That's really it. And last but not least, let's talk about the Festool Domino joiner. It's a cool tool. I enjoy using it a lot. But honestly, I don't need it in my shop, and you probably don't either. There are a lot of woodworkers who have been doing woodworking projects without a Festool joiner, domino joiner, for decades, centuries. It's basically mortise and tenon work. But in my own case, there are 6 different ways that I could do mortise and tenon work in my shop without one of these. Does this make it easier? Sometimes. Sometimes no. Depends on the project that I'm working on. This tool falls into the regret category for a lot of the reasons that the other ones did. One, I had the budget to buy it when I wanted to buy it, so I bought it. That doesn't necessarily mean you should get a tool. If you've got a 40,000 square foot shop and an unlimited budget and you want a half a dozen of these in your toolbox, by all means, knock yourself out. This video is intended for newer woodworkers who are interested in understanding what tools should be first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth in their shop. Where does the domino jointer land? Probably not even on that list. I don't know at what point in your woodworking journey you would absolutely need one of these. This is always going to be a tool that firmly lands in the want category, not the need category. Before we dive into this list, let me reiterate that regret doesn't come from bad tools, it comes from bad decisions and bad decision frameworks. So asking yourself these 10 gut check questions can help you understand before you make a purchase whether or not these are going to end up on your regret list 6 months, a year, or 3 years from now. So let's get into this list of 10 gut check questions you can ask yourself. First and foremost, what specific problem does this tool fix for me right now? So if you don't have an answer to that, then this is an indication that you don't need this tool. Number 2, how often will I realistically use this tool? If it's something that you'll use daily and it's going to be a big help to your workflows or the things that you're interested in making, then great, you're probably on the right track. But if it's something that you're not sure, or like my Festool Domino joiner, you're going to use it once or twice and then maybe never again, that's a good indication that maybe you could pass on this tool. Number 3, does this tool increase safety in your shop? Does it reduce hazards? Does it limit liability, your own personal liability of the way you're working? Remember, we're not always talking about tools that make sawdust. Sometimes we're talking about tools like air filters and air cleaners and air scrubbers and things that help keep our shop clean. Maybe we're talking about lighting, LED lighting. How much do you need? And is your shop dark at the moment? Would making your shop brighter help your shop be a safer place to work? If so, then that's probably something that's worthy of going into your shop sooner rather than later. Number 4, and I'm guilty of this one big time. Am I buying a capability to avoid having to learn a new skill? Honestly, a lot of the tools I've had in my shop are capable of doing a lot of the things that my tool regrets do now. But I bought them because I thought maybe they would help me be faster, better, more accurate, more precise. Ultimately, with some of these tools, it was about me trying to buy a capability so I didn't have to learn a new skill. Don't be afraid to learn a new skill. This is woodworking, you're always going to be learning. Number 5, does this tool align with the things that you're currently working on? If it does, great. If not, is it just something you saw in a YouTube video or a mail order catalog? Do they still make mail order catalogs? I don't know. Anyway, Number 6, do I have the power, the dust collection, and the space for this tool? In my case, I bought my dust collector first, and then I built my tools around it, and once I hit my dust collector capacity, I kind of stopped buying tools. That's really not the way to do it. The way to do it is to build out your shop, lay out your shop in such a way where you have functional areas around your shop that can support the things that you're working on. And as you need to improve or enhance those capabilities, build out those functional areas of your shop. Again, this goes back to budget, space availability, time availability, how passionate you are about what you're doing. Some people jump into hobbies and go all in and buy all the cool tools right up front. Maybe you can afford that, maybe not. Maybe you have a one-car garage or a one-stall shed that you're doing your woodworking in, and space is at a premium. The challenge there is in building an effective shop that takes advantage of a small space. There's a ton of YouTube videos out there that can teach you how to do that, and I would encourage you to take a look for them. Number 7, what's the total ownership price beyond the cost of the tool and getting it home? Sometimes you got to buy blades, sometimes you got to buy other accessories, you got to buy additional dust collection pipe. There's a lot of things that can drive the purchase price of a tool through the roof. And have you considered all of those before you decide to buy a tool? I haven't in the past. So, number 8, is there a simpler tool that I could use? In my case, let's use the domino jointer, mortise and tenon joinery. Now we could debate all day long whether or not the domino jointer increases strength or if it's just used for alignment. I don't really want to get into that in this video, but it is a mortise and tenon tool. It cuts a mortise, and then you can buy boxes of red oak tenons that you can drive into it, that you can glue 2 pieces of wood together and technically have a mortise and tenon joint. But I have a table saw with a dado stack of blades and a good fence system. I have a crosscut saw that has an adjustable depth stop that I could use to create tenons. I could create mortise and tenons. I could create tenons with those 2 tools all day long. I have a couple of different Bosch routers that are just kind of entry-level half-inch routers that would be just fine for creating the mortises that the tenons would go into. So, did I need a Festool jointer? Nope. I just wanted one, so I got one. Number 9, will this tool drastically increase your capability? If you're looking to get into woodworking to make money, then you need to figure out how to make more of the things that you're making faster and better and with good repeatability. And tools can do that. So if that's your gig, then you probably need more tools in your shop than the average woodworker. If you're somebody who likes making sawdust and you like making stuff for your own home, or you like making gifts to give your friends and family during the holidays, you probably don't need a bunch of orchestration and automation in your wood shop. You probably could get away with fewer tools, and therefore maybe you should. I know I could. And number 10, this is a big one that I ask myself from time to time. If this particular tool disappeared tomorrow, how would it impact my ability to be a woodworker? How would it impact my time in the shop? How would it impact the things that I enjoy doing? There are some tools, like my laser cutter and my CNC and my table saw. If they disappeared from my shop tomorrow, I probably wouldn't come out to my shop. But the domino jointer, the drill press, the combination belt and disc sander, the jointer, if all of those disappeared tomorrow, they'd actually have a pretty minimal impact on the things that I'm doing in my shop. And maybe that's an indication that it's on my regret list for a good reason. So if I could wind back time and know what I know today, I probably wouldn't buy those tools, at least not until I had a specific reason or good answers to questions 1 through 9. I hope you found some value in this video. I hope you stuck with me this far. And that's it for me, friends. Till next time, peace, love, and sawdust. I'm out.